What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the Border City Kids When Nature Strikes. I'm your host, Brian, and tonight we're covering Enterprise, Alabama, 2007. If you've been following the show from the beginning, you know we've covered some of the most haunted houses in America. We've traveled through some of the most powerful natural disasters in modern history: hurricanes, tornado outbreaks, and earthquakes. But starting next week, things are going to shift. Our channel is expanding into unsolved mysteries, strange disappearances, unexplained phenomena, and cases that still leave investigators baffled. We'll still return to natural disasters around once a month because this part of storytelling will always matter. These events shape lives, they rewrite towns, they leave scars, physical and emotional, long after the winds die down and the sun rises. And today, we're covering a tornado that did more than just damage buildings. It struck a high school in the middle of the day. This is the story of Enterprise, Alabama, March 1st, 2007. Enterprise, Alabama, quiet city of about 22,000 people. No, not for just destruction, but for something strange. A monument dedicated to a bug. Yes, they built a statue of a boll weevil because it forced them to change their economy in the early 1900s. The town's motto is literally the City of Progress. But on March 1st, 2007, progress came to an abrupt halt. Earlier that morning, the Storm Prediction Center issued a rare high-risk warning. Conditions were perfect for violent tornadoes. Most people went about their day. Enterprise High School stayed open as usual. It was a Thursday. Students were thinking about their weekend plans with sports and homework. Nobody knew that by 1:12 p.m., the school would be in total ruins. The storm system was already producing tornadoes in the region. Mississippi, Georgia, and Alabama were all under a big threat. Meteorologists watching the radar saw rotation tightening southwest of Enterprise. At 1:09 p.m., the warning went out. But here's the reality of the situation. Tornado warnings often give 8 to 12 minutes of lead time. People hesitate and ask themselves, is it really going to hit here? School staff have to take decisions and make them instantly. Enterprise High School administrators move students into the hallways and away from glass. The standard safety protocol. They did everything by the book as they were supposed to. But this tornado wasn't just any old tornado. This was an F4 with 170 mile-per-hour winds, and it was heading straight for them. At 1:12 p.m., the tornado makes a direct hit. The roar is described as 100 freight trains stacked on top of each other. The school begins to collapse all around the staff and students. Ceiling tiles rip loose, glass explodes inward, and the lockers fly open. The science wing fails first. Then, the roof collapses over the students. 8 students are crushed by this. One student's final text message read, "We're in the hallway, but the ceiling is falling." A teacher shielding students later said, "I thought I was watching kids die in front of me." Outside, the buses flip, cars roll like toys, and trees snap in half. And then, after 30 seconds, it's over. Just 30 seconds of wind. That's all it took to change hundreds of lives forever. The first responders arrived to chaos. The walls were missing. School buses were twisted into metal knots. Students were screaming for their friends. Parents were sprinting past the police lines running for their children inside the building. One firefighter said, "It was the worst scene I've seen in 25 years of service." Homes around the school were destroyed. Debris was everywhere. The smell of pine, gasoline, dust, and rain filled the air. Here were the final impact totals of the Enterprise tornado. 8 students were killed and over 50 were injured. The damage was estimated at $300 million, and the tornado was a confirmed F4 rating. National news descended on Enterprise, Alabama. President George W. Bush would eventually visit. But the families? There was no political moment, only grief. Enterprise refused to let the school remain a graveyard. A brand new high school was built for the students, and the old building was eventually demolished. Inside the new one, a memorial stands for all of the 8 victims who lost their lives that day in Enterprise, Alabama. Every year on March 1st, students gather at 1:12 p.m. for a moment of silence. One teacher said, "We don't remember the tornado, but we remember the kids." So why was this tornado so destructive? Warm Gulf air collided with cold upper-level winds. Wind shear created violent rotation. The storm motion speed and tornado speed equaled the impact up to 160 mph winds. This storm was part of a larger outbreak that produced over 50 tornadoes in the southeastern United States that day. Meteorologists call these events the supercell tornado families. Long track storms capable of producing tornadoes over hundreds of miles. Survivors tell stories like, "All I could hear was praying and screaming. When the roof fell, everything went dark. I saw lockers rip off the wall like paper." For the students who lived, many developed PTSD, weather anxiety, and survivor's guilt. This tornado didn't just break buildings, it broke time. There is a before and an after for everyone who walked the hallways in Enterprise, Alabama, in the high school. Natural disasters remind us that nature is not evil, but it is indifferent. The Enterprise tornado proves how quickly a normal day can turn into a complete catastrophe. A school, a Thursday, 1:12 p.m. That time is now frozen forever. So, my questions for the listeners. Were you in school during a tornado drill? Do you think schools should be built with reinforced shelters nationwide? Should weather warnings be more forceful, even if it risks overreacting? Would you want your city to rebuild the school or leave the site as a memorial? And for the new direction that my channel is heading with unsolved mysteries, would you like me to begin with UFO cases, disappearances, or the paranormal mysteries? This has been the Border City Kids, When Nature Strikes. Next week, we begin a new chapter. We're heading into the unsolved mysteries, stories without answers, where the truth hides in the shadows. But once a month, storms like this will return. Because when nature strikes, it never strikes softly. Have a good night. Take care.